Welcome everyone to another Halloween-themed edition of the Main Event, Mark's podcast. I'm your first co-host, lifelong wrestling fan, and figure collector. I am Troy Adams, and with me today is the WWE Walking Wrestling Encyclopedia and the Main Event collector. He is the Patriot to my Marcus Alexander Bagwell. Give your stars and stripes up for Greg. What's up?
Cool. No one hates me. Bagwell's the hated one, so I'm good.
I know, ladies and gentlemen, you may have seen the title of the episode, Halloween Havoc 1994. Well, for the first time in the podcast, in the long handful of months we've been doing this podcast, I kept teasing we're going to do 1993. We looked at the card, we were like, it looks presentable. We'll do 1993. And we gathered news and notes. We sat down, we actually recorded the show, and both Greg and I were like, no. I may release, our actual event review as a bonus sometime in the future. But I don't know. I wasn't satisfied with it. What about you?
I was not. I feel like even with a bad show, at least I can have fun.
Yeah.
This show was just boring.
Yeah, Halloween Havoc 1993.
Boring bad. I mean, the UWF thing was, it was crap, but, I had fun.
And it was funny. Yeah, it was funny, and there was a lot of things to throw in there to be like, wow, yeah, this happened, that happened, so-and-so said this happened afterwards. Halloween Havoc 93, there was some stuff, but the biggest story of the time is that Hogan he was doing movies, he was talking about maybe working for Turner at some point, or doing his own thing. That was it. And the news and notes is our favorite part of the show, because you kind of take a look back, and you said it was a stroll down memory lane for you, if it's a time when, you were actually paying attention. But, the news and notes were just kind of scarce. The event itself was just boring and blah. I don't know. I think we had fun, as much fun as we could have with the show itself, but not to give it away, the match on the show that most people praised.
Yeah.
So it just, I don't know. There wasn't a whole lot of meat on the bone, and Greg told me right off the bat before we even started recording, he was like, I think we should call an audible. I said, well, let's just do it anyway. And we did it, and I messaged him later. I said, I was not happy with that podcast. So we changed it up. We talked about it. I said, I still want to do a Halloween Havoc. So we're going 1 year into the future to 1994. Hulk Hogan is not talking about working for Turner. He's actually working for Turner at this point. And I actually dug up quite a bit of news and notes from that time. So
make no mistake, they were all working for Hogan, but
wow. Well, it worked for him, brother. But without further ado, I think we should transition here into our what I already teased was our favorite segment of the show.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at @mainevent_marks and Facebook at facebook.com/maineventmarkspod.
Now, back to our program.
I think it's time for the news and notes. You ready to get into all this?
Sure. I got a better feeling about this.
Well, it's 1994. Obviously, the stipulation of the main event, stipulation, bro, or as Eric Bischoff refers to it, the stakes, it was a retirement match. It was for the title and retirement. Or, if anybody listened...
It's going to be so sad to see one of these guys gone forever after this. Gone forever,
bro.
I can't believe it. After this match, one of them's gone.
Yeah, we'll never see them ever wrestle again. Leave the memories alone. Well, it's kind of, if anybody goes back in the archives, back to August, we covered Road Wild 1999, the last Road Wild ever in Sturgis. It was a retirement match between, again, Hulk Hogan, not to spoil this match, but, Hulk Hogan was in it, and Kevin Nash. Also for the world title, by the way. So it was same stips, just no cage. They were, instead of surrounded by steel cage, they were surrounded by steel horses. You like that one?
Yeah, that was great.
All right. Anyway, but yeah, and we had teased from a Mark Madden line that it was not a retirement match; it was a loser takes time off match.
I actually like that. Kind of give the guy that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As much as I can crap on Mark Madden all day long, which I will, the dirty Steelers fan. He has his moments where he's funny, and that one was true. This was also a loser takes time off match. Not to spoil everything, but it's 2020, people. Come on now. But while we're talking about retirements, there's a much bigger retirement than Hulk Hogan or Ric Flair in the works right here in 1994. And this one was legit, Greg.
If you tell me it's Terry Funk, I'm going to slap you.
No, even better. The Rougeau wrestling dynasty comes to an end once and for all on October 21st when Jacques Rougeau retires after a match with Pierre at the Montreal Forum.
I'm sorry, you just said the Rougeau dynasty. A moment to make fun of that, please.
I know it's easy to make fun of. If anybody watched American television and knows the Rougeau brothers and all that, But on the other hand, for those of you that don't know, Jacques Rougeau Sr. was a legend in Canada, and Jacques Rougeau Jr., aka the Mountie, was a big deal. And from everything I read, Jacques went on like a mini tour of Canada for his retirement with Pierre, and they were like selling places out up there. Because apparently the best thing you can see in Montreal is the Mountie versus the Pirate.
Hold on. What were they selling out?
I mean, it was like mid-sized venues, but I don't think they weren't like gigantic arenas or nothing.
And who was on the undercard?
I don't know. They didn't specify.
I'm not going to buy any of this. They sold out things by themselves. Hell no.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that they're big in Montreal, but.
Well, Canada's different. Like, it's a weird, I don't know. And I'm not
even Canadians will tell you Montreal is not Canada. It's a little province.
Well, yeah, there's for those that don't know, and I'm not going to pretend to know from firsthand experience, but there's Canada, and then there's French Canada.
It's kind of like the running joke that Alaska is not part of America. It's up there with Canada. It's like, they're us, but they're not us. I think that's what people say about Montreal. So,
and again, not to single places out, but it's like for anybody that wants an American comparison, I know you just said Alaska, which is very true. That and Hawaii, the culture is very different in Hawaii, and I mean even here on the mainland. That's like, oh, well, I thought you guys did such and such. You say that to a northerner and they're like, oh, that's the South. Or, in the South, you say something, they're like, oh, they do that in the North. It's very, people don't realize when you go from the North to the South or the South to the North, it's like a completely different country almost. Same laws, much different culture. So, but yeah, so that's a little geography, whatever, getting off on that with the Rougeaus. I never thought we'd branch off into the difference between French Canada and Canada with this story. But there you have it. Speaking of this match that we're going to be talking about, though, Ric Flair is insisting that after he retires, he's done. Finished, never coming back. Ironically, this was never WCW's intention, as the whole thing was designed from the start as a way to give him leave for about 6 months and then return triumphantly as Hulk Hogan's tag team partner, hopefully pop an even bigger number. I don't think that ever happened.
He was leaving for 6 months?
Supposedly, this is what was written. But I don't know. I mean, if you listen to Eric Bischoff in his podcast talking about this, he flat out said, no, we never had an intention of Rick retiring forever.
I think he was gone only for a couple of months.
Yeah. And he never returned as a babyface Hulk Hogan's partner. So that didn't happen. I don't remember how he returned.
He returned because Hogan and Macho Man were sick of all of his, I think.
Oh, yeah.
They begged for him to come back, and then they gave him the Macho Man. I believe he was in a cage at Bash of the Beach. Maybe he was gone for over 6 months, but he was back before the 6 months. Maybe they meant he was just not going to wrestle for 6 months. But
well, he wasn't back officially because I can't remember which event it was. In 1995, I remember he popped up for the first couple times. He was just sitting in the crowd with women, and the Macho Man decided, and this was before Flair interfered or did anything. And Macho Man sees him in the crowd and decides, "F you," and they just start jaw jacking, and then it led into him versus Macho Man for the better part of 1995. Because I remember all that. And then Ric Flair dressing in drag and interfering in Hogan versus Vader. So that's a different story for a different time, but.
Oh, I definitely want to talk about that.
Everybody should. How are we going to bring Ric Flair back in the fold? I know. He'll dress as a woman and interfere in Vader versus Hogan.
Oh my God.
Am I a pretty girl? No! I always
liked yourself.
I always liked, Tony Schiavone. I think it was Tony Schiavone talking about, you could never hide Ric Flair because you got that big beak popping out. That's unmistakable. I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, okay, he's not incorrect. He's wrong, but he's not incorrect. And speaking of, a lot of these stories are centered around this match and how ridiculous unbelievable the stipulation was. Advertisements were sent out a week before Halloween Havoc to the major cable companies listing the main event for Starrcade as Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair. That would have been a way better show than what we actually got. But
I disagree, but whatever.
Which we'll get into on the show. But yeah, I know what you always say. Well, card subject to change. I get that. And it does hold a lot of water, except in this case, because they're building up, one of these men will retire at this event and be gone forever. By the way, 3 months from now, gone forever, bro. But they say that, and then 3 months from now, by the way, they'll both be back main eventing Starrcade. Like, what? That's not card subject to change. That's what the hell are you doing with your advertising?
That's card subject to poll.
Yeah. LOL WCW.
That's so WCW.
Yeah.
Or what was that one road dog? Oh, WCW ruins everything.
Yeah, I like that. My gosh, this was just stupid. Nobody knew what the hell they were doing. And if you listen to Bischoff talking about, well, you know what, you do this and that and whatever, and the advertisement was never right because it had to go out so many months in advance. Which is why if you look at Hog Wild 1990, or wait, the Hog Wild was 96?
Which one? Hog Wild? Yeah, 96.
90, okay.
Very certain one. That's
yeah,
right. There's only one Hog Wild. That's right.
Right. Yeah, after that it was Road Wild because they got sued, or threatened of lawsuit. But either way, if you listen, or if you look at the advertisements for Hog Wild 1996, it was 2 months after Hulk Hogan switched heel and formed the NWO and whatever. On the cover of the Hog Wild advertisements, he's still a smiling babyface in his red and yellow riding his custom motorcycle. And Bischoff said, well, it was too late. We couldn't send out new advertisements. I don't believe that, but whatever. I think he's trying to make excuses for the incompetence of their advertisement. Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair were both supposed to appear on the NFL game between the Vikings and the Packers on TNT, with Flair doing a live promo.
Wow, NFL on TNT.
Yeah,
Sounds
right?
Weird.
I know, I didn't even know that was a thing. That shows how long ago that was. But Flair was supposed to be doing a live promo, but then the producers killed the plan at the last minute and cut Flair out completely, not even showing him on the sidelines, and moved Hogan's interview to 30 minutes into the post-game show when no one was even watching.
Wow.
This was another case. I mean, in my opinion, this reeks of what Bischoff and many people have talked about, where it's like Turner Broadcasting. Ted Turner was the only one who didn't want to completely bury WCW. Everybody else wanted to just, like, look, we own it, but we don't want anybody to know we own it. Like, it's just bury it. They're the wrestlers. Get them the hell out of here. I mean, it's to the point here where they're burying Hulk Hogan. At this point, he was the most popular wrestler in the history of the business. So
they weren't on TNT yet either, so I'm telling you, they didn't have to have they didn't have to have respect for him yet. That's
right.
Still about a year away.
Well, and this was just asinine anyway, because it goes back to, I can't remember which show it was in the archives, one of our 1989 shows, if you go back and listen, where they were doing like a live read advertisement during a Braves game, and nobody knew anything about WCW or NWA or whatever the hell. They didn't even know who the champion was, nothing. They were just like rambling, oh yeah, there's wrestling going on this channel, I guess. And they didn't they're like, and I think they named Hulk Hogan or something like that. And it's like, oh my gosh. And they said, people like Jim Herd and people in WCW were just like furious about this. They're like, what the hell is going on? Like, you're talking about our wrestling show that's on your network and you don't even know anything about it. It's just in pure.
I don't think it's in their contract that they have to watch the network.
Well, no, but if you're going to talk about it, at least sound like you know what the hell you're talking about. You know?
Or wrote the notes wrong.
Or didn't write the notes. They're like, hey, talk about wrestling. Hulk Hogan wrestles. He says, brother.
Steel chairs. Titles.
Yeah. Paul Orndorff once held so many titles, he couldn't carry them all.
Good Lord, shut up.
Throwback to our last Halloween Havoc. Anyway. All right, well, it's official that WrestleMania is going to be in Hartford for WrestleMania 11.
Oh, man.
And what a show that would be, Greg.
Because when I think of, great cities for WrestleMania, I think of Hartford, Connecticut.
Well, yeah. I like how...
Bruce Prichard flat out said that was just because they want an easy travel and setup, because it was right there.
And he said it was technically in the New York market, which it is. It's within an hour driving distance of NYC, so I get it.
You know what's within 20 seconds of NYC? MSG.
What? Well, yeah.
Why couldn't they do it back to back? They've done it before. Not with MSG, but at WrestleMania. So
they probably wanted to, and I'm just fishing for excuses, they probably wanted to keep MSG quote unquote special so don't abuse going there. I don't know.
So Lawrence Taylor, the freshly retired football star,
I know.
Would not make it special.
I know.
Diesel won the title there as Major Over, wouldn't make it special. That one baffles me.
And hell, even if they want to keep it in New York State, they could have went to, what's the one in Long Island that Evolution was at?
The one the Islanders play at. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but the one the Islanders play at.
Yeah, that one. So they could have went there. I mean, they had options, but I don't know, maybe the rent was cheaper in Connecticut. They weren't doing so hot financially in 1994. So, I don't think they were, doing terrible, but 1994 and 1995 were lost years for them. So, and not just for them. WCW actually gained money in 1995 for the first time in its history, which is hard to believe, but you have to listen to Eric Bischoff's podcast talk about that. He said he actually turned a profit in 1995, and that was the first time that company had ever seen a profit. So that's shocking. Something else that was kind of sad around this time for the WWF, the final episode of WWF All-American Wrestling aired the weekend before Halloween Havoc, featuring clips of a young Vince McMahon in 1983, with the set being torn down at the end while Ted DiBiase protested.
I remember watching that.
Yeah, I was about to ask you.
Not knowing what the hell was going on, and then the next week it wasn't on. You're like, where is it?
And you cried.
I think they had replaced it with...
I cried, bro.
I cried. I legitimately cried forever. I think they replaced it with... was it the Action Zone?
Yes, actually, that is the next story here. Meanwhile, the WWF Action Zone debuted on October 23rd with a Bret Hart versus Owen Hart match.
So when I saw that, I just okay. I didn't realize it was a switch. It was like, it's still something on, whatever.
Don't get me wrong, I love All-American Wrestling, like the name and the concept, whatever. But I get Vince McMahon's, the reason he hasn't done like a lot of American-themed stuff, especially recently. He did Great American Bash for a while. They brought it back for NXT, but
they didn't bring it back.
Well, yeah,
the son-in-law did.
Yeah. Well, his reasoning for not sticking with all the American-themed shows was because he's like, well, we're a worldwide company, so we don't want to alienate somebody in another country who's a big fan. I kind of get it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I kind of get it. It's his reasoning anyway. So if I can at least follow the logic somewhat, it's like, okay. By the way, everyone who worked at the last Herb Abrams pay-per-view saw their checks bounce, and then bounce again the second time that they tried to deposit them, after Herb assured them that it was a clerical error on the part of the bank.
And they bought that.
They at least tried to cash it twice, so yeah. There were a couple. I think Missy Hyatt was one of the ones that was like, I never got any money from him. He gave me checks. Yeah. But good lord. No, she got checks from him.
I just meant that he paid her for wrestling. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Good grief. Missy friggin' Hyatt. Because if we're going to make sure that anybody from that show gets paid, by God, it's her.
Oh, he did have the boots.
Yeah, well, those were going to change the wrestling industry, Greg. We had to get at least... I
wouldn't believe anybody else saying that other than Mick Foley. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
I think he's a stand-up enough of a stand-up guy to not lie about something like that.
Well, he's got the most outrageous stories from everyone. Mick Foley, So I love his stories that he's got from like various people in the wrestling industry. Like when he told Vince, like when he went off on Vince McMahon saying he wanted a special entrance one time, and his special entrance was he wanted to fly in on Santa's sleigh with Santa, and Vince allegedly told him, "There's no way I can pay enough for something to be rigged up to haul your fat ass in on a sleigh." And Mick kind of hung his head and was like, "Fine," and walked away. Oh, but anyway, so that does it for the news. You ready to get into the event at hand, Greg?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break here, transition into Halloween Havoc 1994. When we come back, it's all the goodness from the show itself.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at @mainevent_marks and Facebook at facebook.com/maineventmarkspod.
Now, back to our program.
All right, we're back in time to dive into the show. It's WCW Halloween Havoc 1994. Took place October 23rd, 1994. The tagline was, "Witness the terrifying rage in the cage." The venue was the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan, and the attendance was 14,000, buy rate 0.9. Wasn't the Joe Louis Arena home of WrestleMania, I want to say 22, 23?
22 was in the arena that we were in last year for the Survivor Series. 23 was in Ford Field. No WrestleMania has ever taken place in the Joe, so.
Oh, okay. They must have mentioned they were close to the Joe Louis. Okay. All right. Well, either way, it was Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, everything in Detroit's right next to each other. They literally say Cobo Hall's next door, which, spoiler, Giant's going to die on the roof of that arena next year.
Oh man! Don't say that. Don't bring that up, Greg. 'Cause you might get suspended from Twitter for saying something like that.
Well, I'm not wishing it. That tweet actually wished it.
I didn't wish it. I just said I would feel ripped off if it didn't happen.
If I don't see death, I'm going to feel ripped off. That's borderline wishing.
What? Okay, in my defense, I never said I wanted anybody to die. I said if I don't see a giant fall off a roof, because he fell off that roof and didn't die. So I'm not.
You don't know that. This could have been another giant. You don't know that.
Yeah, another giant that likes dry humping.
Well, did the original giant like dry humping?
I'm
sure. Thank you for proving my point. Move on.
Either way, the buy rate for this was 0.9. Apparently 0.9, like, it's not horrible, but it's not great. And it was way below projections of what this event was going to do. So it was actually a disappointing number for WCW. I said the opening package was not very Halloween-like, but it was very good. I enjoyed it. It got me hyped.
My initial thing on the opening here, my first note, I'm like, wow, it's just really weird to see Mean Gene opening the show.
Oh, yeah. Right.
I just like, that was new to me.
Yeah, that is true. Well, and one thing I noticed is this is like one of the first Halloween Havocs. I think actually this was the first Halloween Havoc. Nobody's in costume.
I'm not complaining about that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was kind of cheesy, whatever, but it always made me laugh. That was one thing I always popped about with Halloween Havoc for the first, I don't know how many years, was what the hell is Tony Schiavone dressed like tonight? So
he's going as an announcer.
Yeah, this time he's going as a guy that's going to go to the prom, I guess. So either way, Tony Schiavone says that the main event will involve the two biggest superstars wrestling has ever seen or will ever see. He spoke about 3 years too soon. Bobby Heenan is in a neck brace, and he sounded hoarse throughout the whole event. Did you notice that?
I did.
Yeah, he sounded like he was just struggling.
I felt like he got worse as it went on, too.
Yeah, and he said, to me, it sounded like he stumbled over himself quite a few times, too. Like he couldn't.
I think that neck brace was legit, and he just had surgery, so.
Yeah, it was, yeah. This was, well, I don't know, a year and a half before the whole what the F are you doing incident? Or maybe, yeah, I think so. Remember Brian Pillman grabbed him by the collar? So, either way. But, yeah, so, Mean Gene brings up Nancy Kerrigan, saying that, I guess, Google what happened to Nancy Kerrigan, because I guess it took place either in this venue or down the road from this venue, something like that. But he refers to what happened to Nancy Kerrigan as, he said, quote, they took the pipe to Nancy Kerrigan.
Kind of funny, they did the exact same thing to Hogan, building up to this, by the way.
I know. I was like, coincidence or not? But just the way, listen to that phrasing. They took the pipe to Nancy Kerrigan. He probably could have phrased that a little better, but, sure.
That's back when taking a knee meant something, but whatever.
Good grief. Some guy named, I think it was Dan Brown, sang the U.S. national anthem. That was another thing. This was like
the most made up name ever, by the way.
Yeah, Dan Brown. Okay. But this thing was this was a completely different Halloween Havoc than we're used to. The opening package was not very Halloween-like at all. Nobody's in costume. We get somebody singing the national anthem to open the show. It was just a complete departure from anything we had ever seen in Halloween Havoc. So, I don't know. This was different. And next year, it would be brought to you by Slim Jim. So, there's that. Opening match. The man who opened, every show for WCW ever, Johnny B. Bad. He's defending his WCW Television Championship against the Honky Tonk Man. I can retroactively hear Eric Bischoff banging his head on a desk throughout this match, by the way.
Yeah.
Because he said he was not a fan of the Johnny B. Bad character, and he absolutely hated the Honky Tonk Man. He said if he could, in a perfect world, he would pay the Honky Tonk Man just so every morning he could wake up, call him on Skype, and fire him all over again.
He booked it.
Yep. Well, I think Kevin Sullivan booked it, but he allowed it. So he's an enabler, Greg. He's an enabler of this. But Johnny is wearing vampire fangs, and the Honky Tonk Man looks like he's in Jerry Lawler cosplay. Did you notice that?
No, I just look like Elvis to me, but...
Well, he looked, I'm talking like his because in the WWF he just wore tights. In WCW he had like the one strap like Jerry Lawler, and instead of crowns down his leg, he had guitars. So it kind of looked like the figure I had of him. But it's ironic because they're cousins. But I said this match is decent, but not great. One of Johnny's probably worst openers I've ever seen. Neither man gets the win, and it goes to a 10-minute time limit draw. It used to be 15 minutes for TV title matches, but they dropped it to 10 during this time. After the match, Honky hits Johnny with an atomic drop, but Johnny no-sells it and punches Honky Tonk Man out of the ring. Uncle Dave said, quote, better than expected, but too many rest holds, and the finish was telegraphed. He gave it 1 1/4 star. I gave it 2. What say you?
I gave it 2 as well. I said it's not so bad, actually.
Yeah,
it could have been 10,000 times worse.
Oh, yeah.
I do want to talk about the aftermath of the match, though. It looked like Honky picked him up off the rope and set him, or pronouns, looked like Honky Tonk Man lifted up Johnny B. Bad off the rope when he was posing and just put him down and smiled like they were friends. Did you catch that?
Yeah, I mean, it looked like he didn't rip. He was like, I'm going to go for an atomic drop, but not actually hit it.
Yeah, but then he smiles at him like they're best friends or something.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
What the hell is going on? What did I miss here?
I don't know, man. This was all weird. Honky Tonk Man was bad. I will say this, I didn't watch a lot of Honky Tonk Man WCW. I don't think he stuck around very long. But this we
can get into that. He'll be gone right after this. The whole thing at Starrcade happens, where he's in the back in the loading dock saying, if I'm going to lose the bat, I want to revisit my contract. And Bischoff said he laughed in his face and fired him.
Wow.
So that was my fact for this one. He gets fired right after this show.
Wow, nice. Yeah, and I don't know, man. Honky, I think this was a pretty decent match from Honky Tonk Man, but it's like, I don't know, this was a good match for Honky Tonk, not a great match for Johnny B. Bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's 10 times better than this.
Yeah, Johnny B. Bad's had great matches opening. I mean, you and I talked about it. If anybody goes back and listens to our, Fall Brawl 95 show, he opens with Flying Brian Pillman, and it was fan-freaking-tastic. And it was not Brian Pillman carrying it either. It was just a great match. So, but this was not great.
Bad.
We see a clip from TV where Hulk Hogan comes out for a match with Ric Flair, and a masked man clips him in the back of the leg with a pipe, as you talked about earlier. Hogan goes to the hospital, but is said to have limped his way back from the hospital with his knee wrapped up so he can do this match. The masked man jumps him again, and then Flair jumps on Hogan's knee. On a later TV, the masked man strikes during another Hogan-Flair match. Hogan's about to unmask him, and then a second masked man jumps Hogan from behind. This masked man thing goes on, forever, because we see another masked man in 95, and just, yeah. But anyway.
It's an evolution of the Black Scorpion.
Good lord. But WCW then obtained footage of Mr. T and Ric Flair coming out of a restaurant together earlier in the week. Mr. T is going to be the special guest referee in the main event because got to dust him off in 94.
Rumor has it Mr. T was just getting an autograph from Flair for his mama.
Good lord. I sat and thought about this. Ric Flair headlined the very first Starrcade, won his first world title in 1983. Hulk Hogan main evented WrestleMania 1 with Mr. T in 1984. This is...
Well, we'll just get to that now, because I was going to use that. Let's also not forget that Paul Orndorff is also in this event, too.
My God. Yeah, I know. But it's just, this is like a decade after WrestleMania 1, 11 years after Starrcade, the first Starrcade, and, I mean, that's fine, these two wrestling a decade after the biggest triumphs on pay-per-view, whatever. But then they're dusting off Mr. T. Who cared about Mr. T in 94?
18 fans?
Was that even still on TV at this time?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I was
Hulk's friend.
Yeah, Hulk's friend.
Why he was never in the Dungeon of Doom, I'll never know.
Yeah. Mama won't let me be in the Dungeon of Doom.
Wow.
I don't know. Up next, we get Stars and Stripes. The Patriot and Marcus Alexander Bagwell are defending the World Tag Team Championships against Pretty Wonderful Paul Roma and Paul Orndorff. As you mentioned, Orndorff is on this card 10 years after he main evented WrestleMania 1. Bobby Heenan asked Tony Schiavone, I think I figured out who the Patriot is. And he said, where's he from? Schiavone says, Washington, D.C. And Heenan says, Al Gore. It's got to be Al Gore. They're about the same size.
Yep, Al Gore definitely had that build.
Oh, for sure. Well, you don't know what was under his suit jacket. Could have been ripped, shredded, and jacked.
Beefy.
He's super serial, guys. But this match went for 13 minutes 47 seconds. Unfortunately, pretty wonderful. End up winning when Bagwell gets Orndorff with a bridging fisherman suplex behind the ref's back, and Roma hits a flying elbow drop on Bagwell, and then Orndorff rolls over and pins him. Uncle Dave said, quote, another average match from them. I assume he means all four guys. He gave it 2 1/4 star. There's a lot of 1/4 stars from him on this card, which is weird. I gave it an even 2.
How is that weird at all coming from that idiot?
Well, yeah, I should expect it, but it's just like, I still don't get the 1/4 star. It's like, I can get a half, because it's like...
Well, Dave has wrestled so many matches that he's an expert on, what a fourth and a third star and stuff like that is.
Well, I'm wondering, it's like, what takes away or adds to, where it's like, it's 1/4 better or 1/4 worse, but it's, it's like I said, I get the half.
A couple of extra super kicks or V-triggers is the thing nowadays, but...
Probably. But, yeah, I don't know. This match was okay. I will say this, as much crap as you and I have talked on multiple occasions, deservedly so, about Paul Roma, he had a beautiful elbow drop, man. Like, before Kairi Sane, he had one of the best in the business, I think.
Yeah, he was a bad wrestler. I just think his ego's like...
Nah. Yeah, his ego was big. He wasn't a great wrestler, but he wasn't terrible at all. And I don't know. He didn't have that over-the-top personality. And he just came across as like a bland jerk. I don't know. But
the way he comes out, too, when he comes out like he owns the building. Which,
right. I guess you should if you're a heel.
He's a heel, so he should, yeah. But
he's a heel! Whatever. Pretty box!
I said, it's actually not that bad of a match. I thought the crowd was really into it. Did you notice that Pretty Wonderful winning kind of got a pop, too?
I did not notice that.
I don't know why that caught my ear. I was like, what the hell? Okay.
Yeah. This was 2 years in a row, by the way, Mark, and they mentioned it on commentary. Marcus Alexander Bagwell would be defending the tag team titles at a Halloween Havoc, but with 2 totally different partners.
I told you on the last one, like every year it has a different partner from 93 to 95.
Yeah. What did you say in 90? Who was it in 93?
The Z-Man.
Okay, so 93 Z-Man. Or no, that was 90.
Sorry, 92 was Z-Man, 93 was Too Cold Scorpio. 94 was Patriot, 95, 96 was Riggs.
Wow, that's nuts.
Yeah, as I said, it was 2 stars. I didn't think it was terrible.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was fine. I don't know, but it was what it was. Nothing remarkable. And we're about to get to something unremarkable here after these, the backstage stuff.
Fun fact, this is the last major title either one of them ever wins.
Oh, you talking Orndorff and Roma?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wait, Orndorff never became TV champ after this?
I don't know if he won it after this, and then he won it before it.
Oh. Yeah, I don't remember. I just remember he feuded with the Renegade in 95, I think, over the TV title, but
that was probably a barn burner.
What was a career highlight, man? He got to wrestle against the Renegade on the beach.
Oh,
come on, man. Within 2 years, he gets to tag team with Paul Roma and wrestle the Renegade on a beach. I mean, what more could you ask for out of a career, Greg? Good crap, pal. Like, Paul Orndorff pissed off the wrong people.
I'm gonna slap the hell out of you when I see you, man.
Oh, man. You gotta be thinking he was sitting there this whole time like, I main evented WrestleMania. What went wrong?
No, he didn't. He was in the main event of WrestleMania. He didn't main event. There's a huge difference.
No, he main evented. I don't care. He was in the main event. Therefore, he main evented WrestleMania. So he was there, man. So you gotta think, I mean, he's like, I was in the main event of WrestleMania. Me and Hogan were the draw for, well, obviously more Hogan than him. I am not gonna get into that. But it's like him and Hogan main evented like the big event and all this other stuff. He was a huge star. He's like, now I'm teaming with Paul Roma. Now I'm facing the Renegade. What, like,
I think it's
wrong.
Now I'm teaming with Paul Roma. Finally.
Oh yeah, now I've made it. Mean Gene Okerlund is backstage with Ric Flair and Sensuous Sherry. I forgot they changed her name to Sensuous Sherry. Flair says that he's planning a huge celebration for when he ends Hulk Hogan's career and takes his 12th world title tonight. Yeah, in 94, he was quote-unquote only an 11-time champion. So think about that. In the clips...
talk about, like, overabusing their champions early. You thought that Russo was, like, traded that title around.
Yeah. Well, because of him, Flair was handed one of his world titles, so...
His last world title.
Yeah, and then he lost it, in the same night or the next week or something?
It was either the same night or the next day on Thunder.
Yeah. In clips from WCW Saturday Night, Hulk Hogan, Brother Brutai, or as they kept referring to him as the Big Brother, and Jimmy Hart back up the...
Yet he was white.
Yeah. Good Lord. But they back up the, quote, #1 Hulkamaniac in the world, Dave Sullivan, as he argues with Kevin Sullivan about being a Hulkamaniac. Kevin goes off on Dave, and Dave punches Kevin. Later on, during a match, Kevin jumps Dave and beats him down, leading to this... It was Kevin Sullivan versus Dave Sullivan. It went for 5 minutes, 17 seconds. 5 minutes too long. Shivani pumps up Dave Sullivan having a new song, which was I Want to Be a Hulkamaniac.
That was the first thing I caught. I'm like, oh God, he's going to debut that horrible song, isn't he? And sure enough, that's what it was.
He's like, oh, he kept pumping it up like this was huge news. Like, oh, he's got a new song. You know, he's going to come out to new music tonight. It's and he comes out to that I Want to Be a Hulkamaniac, which I said sounded like the theme to a children's show, like Barney or something.
Well, he was pumping it up like it was, Herb Abrams' Cowboy Boots or something like that amazing, but it turned out to not be.
Lord. Yeah, it turned out just to be this. Dave looks like the Bizarro World Hulk Hogan.
This.
Dave looks like Bizarro World Hulk Hogan with his mustache and similar hair, but he's out of shape and wearing red trunks instead of yellow trunks. Kevin Sullivan absolutely sucks. I've said this forever. You and I are not fans of Kevin Sullivan's in-ring work.
No, but I like Dave. I mean, that's wrestling.
No, yeah, well, that's where it's at. But Kevin Sullivan absolutely sucks, and this match felt like 25 minutes, not 5 minutes. Like, I don't know about you. Like, I'm seriously sitting there going, my God, this has been going on forever. When is it over? I'm like, 5 minutes?
My first note for this match is, why is this match happening? I'm not joking.
Yeah. Well, because, Greg, you're going to make Kevin Sullivan look, I don't know. But both men battle outside of the ring, but Dave rolls in first, and Kevin gets counted out. Because you can't pin Kevin Sullivan. You gotta give him an out.
Yeah, you gotta protect that awesomeness.
For those of you that don't know, and I'm saying this now because of the notes I have coming up, Evad Sullivan is another name for Dave. Obviously, Evad is Dave spelled backwards, and the whole thing is Dave has special needs, so therefore he speaks in reverse. Yeah, that was a thing. But anyway, Uncle Dave said that the Evad character is the most not over-pushed character that should be over that he's ever seen, and Dave just doesn't have the charisma to overcome the force-feeding to the fans to get over it. He gave this match a dud. I gave it a 1 star because I'm not going to give it a dud because it was an actual match, but it sucked. It was a 1. What say you?
I gave it 1 star.
I almost gave it a dud.
There was one moment that I laughed at. I'm like, you can't possibly think we're going to believe this. Is when Tony Schiavone said that Dave was wearing Hulk's WrestleMania 3 boots that he wore in the Pontiac Silverdome right down the road when he slammed Andre the Giant. And I'm like, wow. You really want us to believe he's wearing those boots?
You know, the whole something that Hulk Hogan once wore now gives me the power of Hulkamania. It was like done here and then done again in 2010 with Abyss.
Except better.
That still sucked. Saying that was better is like saying, well, this turd stinks slightly less than that turd. Like, it all
Hey, they had a ring in this one, though.
Oh, yeah. Because they wanted to bastardize and make fun of the Hall of Fame rings from WWE. It's the only I'm standing by, that's the only reason that crap happened. Oh, let's make fun of our Hall of Fame rings and diss on the WWE, because, that's a thing. This just sucked in every way, shape, or form. Dave Sullivan was never over a day in his life. He wasn't a good wrestler. His gimmick was offensive and stupid. And Kevin Sullivan, I've never seen Kevin Sullivan take a proper bump in my life. Like, did you notice, like, Dave clotheslined him and he couldn't even take a bump for a clothesline?
No, but to be fair, I started tuning out of this match so hard.
He clotheslined Kevin, and Kevin, like bounced off his arm and, like, did a spin. Like, that was his way of bumping, was he would get hit and then, like, spin around and kind of fall down. He did that for everything. I can't, I don't understand why Kevin Sullivan had a job in the ring for so long.
I don't understand when anyone says he was good ever.
Yeah, I realize he was apparently over in Florida with his whole devil worshiper gimmick, but I don't, like, past that, I don't, like, why do you let him wrestle? He sucked. The only good match I saw from him ever was, which show was it where he had that Anywhere Falls match against, Chris Benoit?
That was the Great American Bash 95. Or 96, 96.
Yeah, 96, yeah. Oh, but now in the archives, Great American Bash 1996, go back and listen. That's the only time you'll ever hear us say anything positive about anything work rate that, Kevin Sullivan produced. Alright, rant over. Moving on to this next thing here.
Oh, well, fun fact, by the way, Eric Bischoff said that Dave was the inspiration for Eugene. So.
Seriously?
Yep. I have no problem whatsoever believing that.
Yeah. The major differences were, Eugene was actually over and he could wrestle. So, I mean, past that, no, it was very offensive, inexcusable, but at least Eugene got over. He elicited a reaction from the crowd other than a groan, and he didn't suck in the ring. So, and he wasn't related to Kevin Sullivan, he was related to Eric Bischoff. So they even had to get that thread in there.
Yeah, right.
And he was a Hulkamaniac. Man, it's all coming together. Anyway.
He wants to be a Hulkamaniac. It says in the song. How did that song not win a Grammy, by the way?
I don't know, man. It's just, people were sleeping on the job. That's right up there with Jimmy Hart's, Eat Your Heart Out, Rick Springfield. Dustin Rhodes asks...
Floss my ass, but okay, go ahead.
Dustin Rhodes asks Arn Anderson to be his partner against Terry Funk. This is all footage, by the way. I forgot to mention that. Dustin Rhodes had asked Arn Anderson to be his partner against Terry Funk and Bunkhouse Buck. Easy for me to say. Anderson agreed, but then he turned on Dustin. Shocker! At Bash at the Beach.
I was shocked. When I was a kid, I really was. I thought they were like going to be a team.
You should have known that a Rhodes can never trust an Anderson, Greg. That's why I'm still waiting for,
yeah.
Still waiting on the day where Cody gets his comeuppance from Arn Anderson. It's like, you can never trust an Anderson, because years ago, your daddy stole my beer, and now I'm still sore about it. I'm assuming that's what this is all related to, but I could be wrong. Either way, the three men then beat up on Dustin Rhodes' right arm, and he later explains he basically did it for Colonel Parker's money. By the way, I don't know if you put this, you probably did, but I don't know if you put this together. He's like going after Dustin Rhodes' arm. You remember, like, didn't the Four Horsemen like break Dusty's arm?
Yeah, it was in my notes. Like, it's kind of funny to see them using the same stuff just on Dusty's kid.
Right. Which, looks like, by the way, Dustin was wearing hand-me-downs from his dad. Did you notice that? I mean, obviously, he
except
wear
for the chaps, but yeah.
Well, I'm not, yeah, the entrance gear was different, because Dusty, for as much weird crap as Dusty wore, you would have never caught him dead in that ugly-ass jacket. But this next match is Arn Anderson with Colonel Robert Parker and Mang in his corner. He's taking on the natural Dustin Rhodes. This match went for 9 minutes, 50 seconds. The battle starts before the match over who has the most honky music in WCW.
Wow. I'm definitely going to say Dustin, but...
I don't know, just Arn. I never heard Arn come out to that. I'm assuming he was using Colonel Parker's.
That was the Bunkhouse's music.
Okay, yeah. I'm like, my God, both of you were just like, I'm whiter. No, I'm whiter. But I said, fairly good match that Dustin wins with a jackknife cover. Arn Anderson then jumps him after the bell and drops him with a DDT. Uncle Dave said this was solid from start to finish. He gave it 3 1/4 star. There you go again. I gave it an even 3 stars. What say you?
Are you serious?
I mean, for a shy of 10-minute match, I thought these two, like, did a really good job.
I said 2, and I was being generous. I said
you didn't like this at all?
No, I said the match ended right when I started getting into it.
I agree. I agree with that to an extent. on the other hand, I think they should add more time for sure. But on the other hand, I think with the time they were given, I thought they did pretty well. It wasn't amazing, but I don't know. I thought it was better than average, so I gave it 3. But 3, I don't know, 3 and a 4th. It's like, where are you getting these?
One of my notes, I said, wow, I can't, like, the crowd popped hard for Dustin. It's like, I forgot how over he was.
Yeah, right.
And then, one note I took, I said, after the match is over, the heels beat the crap out of Dustin, and they're standing over him, and then Dustin's music starts playing, and they're still in the ring as he's on the ground. It just looked really weird to me that his music's playing.
Yeah, all right. What was your fact about this match? Was it the arm thing or something?
No, I said Dustin. It's funny because what's crazy is like Dustin's the only person on this entire card that's still active today.
Oh my gosh, it's weird to think about. Yeah,
I had to think like, wow, he still goes.
Yeah,
like semi-regularly too. Not like one-offs and stuff.
Yeah, and he goes at a fairly high level too. It's he's
mostly wrestling on YouTube now, but
wow.
Well, he is.
Yeah. Well, what's weird is you never to this day, as we say that, but to this day, I've never seen a Dustin Rhodes performance where I go, oh, he should really hang it up. I mean,
he's never really suffered any significant injuries either, to my knowledge.
Well, I think the one thing that's helping him out now is before between WWE and AEW, he had 2 major knee surgeries, at the same time. He had both of his knees, reconstructed, I believe. So he's got knees, so I think he's feeling more spry than he has in a long time. So, yeah, I think that helped. He was clearly smart with his money.
And DDP yoga.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Mean Gene Okerlund.
There's a thing I saw that he gives everybody in AEW free DDP yoga DVDs and stuff. So
I'm sure he does, bro. You gotta watch the DDP yoga, bro. It's more. I don't call it yoga. It's DDPY because it's more manly, bro.
Who the hell's speaking?
I don't know. That's the best DDP I can do. I'm not good at mocking DDP's voice. Either way, Mean Gene Okerlund interviews Hulk Hogan backstage, who's with. I said Ed Leslie because at this time in the show, I didn't know what the hell they were calling him. Brother Brudai.
Brother Brudai, that's his name.
Well, I did not know. I don't think they mentioned, they kept calling him the Big Brother at this point in the show. So I was like, okay. But either way, he's with Brother Brudai.
That's one white-ass brother.
And Brother Brudai and Jimmy Hart. Hulk Hogan goes on some rant about how he tried unsuccessfully to sneak into Detroit, but he was spotted. He then has to make reference to slamming Andre the Giant not far from here in the Silverdome because,
Superdome.
Yeah, Superdome, Silverdome. I'm sorry, I'm getting flashbacks to slamming the Giant, brother. By the way, he never actually calls him, he doesn't actually use, the full Andre the Giant name. He just keeps talking about slamming, or picking up and slamming the Giant.
I'm wondering if that was, they're just making sure they didn't get sued or something, but I don't know how they would for mentioning it, but.
Yeah, they might, I don't know. WWF was in sue-happy mode for WCW during this era, so I hope they were probably minding their P's and Q's. But when Gene asked about Mr. T, Hulk Hogan says he's not quite sure about him, and Mr. T is avoiding eye contact with him, but he's going to trust that he does the right thing in the main event. We then see a replay from Fall Brawl, where Ricky Steamboat is too injured to wrestle Steve Austin for the U.S. title, so he forfeits, and he forfeited the title and they handed it to Austin, or was Austin the champ? I missed that part.
No, he won it.
So was Austin the champ?
Yeah, he was the champ. Yeah, and he was supposed to defend it. Yeah, but he couldn't.
Oh, okay.
But Steamboat couldn't. Yeah.
Okay.
No, they didn't Dean Douglas it.
I was about to say, I didn't know if they Dean Douglas it or what. And what I'm getting at was this right here was Nick Bockwinkel. Was he commissioner or president?
He was the commissioner, yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Nick Bockwinkel says that he's got another opponent for Austin, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan makes his debut, correct?
Hell yeah.
Oh my god. But he makes his debut, and he beats Austin in less than 10 seconds. Austin's sitting there arguing with Bockwinkel. He turns around, Hacksaw hits the 5-point stance, clothesline thing, and he pins him. So,
it's a 3-point stance.
Or a 3-point stance, whatever. 3-point stance. That thing. But he nails it and wins the match. So, yay, Jim Duggan is the U.S. champ.
Why do you say that sarcastic?
Yeah, why? I don't know. But this next match, we get Hacksaw Jim Duggan defending that United States Championship against stunning Steve Austin in 8 minutes and 2 seconds. I said, after a hard-fought match, Hacksaw sets up for the three-point stance, and Austin dumps him over the top rope, getting disqualified. I said, pretty good match for both of these guys, but the finish kind of took something away from me because it was so freaking lame. Uncle Dave said, quote, this was particularly stupid given that Dustin went flying over the top rope much more dramatically in the previous match, better than previous matches that they had at least. He gave it 2 stars. I gave it, I'll also say 2. What say you?
Man, I'm like, just disagreeing with everything today. This is another 1-star match for me. Man. I said it was horrible. I can't believe I said that about an Austin match, but and then like the whole ending, him getting thrown over the top rope, like that's still a thing.
Yeah, I know. I didn't even know that was a thing during this era.
Well, no, it was a thing. Like it was a Bill Watts thing, but like I didn't know it was still a thing.
Well, yeah, no, that's what I said. I didn't know it was a thing during this era. Like I thought they'd like shut that crap down. No exceptions.
No exceptions. Yeah, I know. When the first thing I said, you gotta love seeing Austin get buried on pay-per-view twice in a row. I wonder if his career will ever recover.
Yeah, right. Well, what's funny was that comment I was talking about earlier where Shivani was like, the 2 biggest superstars that wrestling has ever or will ever know. And I was like, they were about 3 years too early. This is the guy.
Oh, yeah, we're right here. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
No, these are the 2 biggest stars right here. Austin and Duggan, right?
Shut the hell up.
What?
Man, this was awful. I gave it 2 stars because this is what I was going off. It was the thing with Honky Tonk Man and Johnny B. Bad from earlier, where I said this was one of the better matches I saw Duggan have during his run in WCW. This is one of the worst matches I saw Austin have during his run in WCW. So, 2 stars for that. Duggan absolutely, I've never been a huge fan of his in-ring work. I never saw any of his stuff in Mid-South, so I don't know about that. But as far as his WCW run, I didn't see one match throughout his entire run there that was even presentable. They all sucked.
Well, he also had 2 title runs in his WCW run.
Yeah. Well, one of them he fished out of the dumpster, so there's that.
Mick Foley style.
Yeah. Except this one they actually tried to make, I don't know, did they try to make the TV title seem like legit when he held it and not like a joke?
No, they actually kind of made it a joke where it was going to only be defended on Saturday night.
How dare you say that WCW Saturday Night in 1999 was a joke? Mean Gene Okerlund is on the stage and he calls out Sting for an interview. Sting is wearing sunglasses and a tuxedo. He says that he wants to see who will lead wrestling into the 90s, even though we're basically halfway through the 90s.
And who is he talking about, by the way?
2 guys who we just said had their first biggest triumphs, or 2 of their biggest triumphs, a decade before this.
Oh, man.
It's just, what the hell? And this was a line that Tony Schiavone repeated this line, by the way. Yep. Monkey see, monkey do. Lead us into the 90s. We're halfway through the 90s. What are you talking about?
Oh, man.
They said Sting was going to be the guy who led WCW into the 90s back in 89 and 90. That made sense. This was dumb.
What are you talking about dumb?
LOL WCW. But anyway.
That's so WCW.
A replay is shown from WCW TV where Harley Race gives Vader a riot baton. They kept calling it a nightstick, but it was clearly a riot baton, but whatever. Either way, Guardian Angel, who is Big Bubba Rogers, Big Boss Man, the boss, Ray Trailer, take your pick. Either way, Guardian Angel takes it from him. The referee sees Angel with the baton and he disqualifies him. In another match, Harley Race gets in behind the referee's back and headbutts Angel for Vader. In another match, Vader and Race double team Angel and lay him out. And then on another TV show, Angel comes out and he handcuffs Harley Race to the ring and attempts to beat him with a chair, but is stopped by, of all people, Doug Dillinger. Because now I guess security is going to stop wrestlers from beating on each other.
Yes. That makes sense.
Whatever. I guess. I hated that. I'm like, why is Doug Dillinger the guy doing... I don't know. Whatever. I'm not going to think too hard on this.
Yeah, don't hurt your head.
But either way, this next match is the Guardian Angel versus Big Van Vader with Harley Race in his corner. It went for 8 minutes, 17 seconds. Not a lot of matches went over 10 minutes on this card, by the way. It was fairly short matches. So, the Guardian Angel is accompanied to the ring by other Guardian Angels. For anybody who doesn't know or who the Guardian Angels were, they were like, I don't want to say vigilantes, but kind of. Because New York had a big crime problem back in the day. The police weren't doing much.
Well, vigilantes for the better, I believe, if that's a thing.
Yeah, they kind of walked around, they didn't go around beating people up and stuff like that, but they kind of they patrolled the streets of New York City and high crime areas, to, I don't know, stop some of the crime going on in the city. So, but anyway, that's what the Guardian Angel gimmick comes from. And what was his nickname? The man who enforces law and order or some crap like that?
Something like that.
Yeah.
A clear rip-off of Big Boss Man, let's just say that.
Whoa, how dare you, Greg? Did this come after the Boss gimmick, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah, because he came back to WCW wearing his Boss Man gear, and they called him the Boss. And then he became the Guardian Angel when they got sued.
The Prisoner. I mean, they're real original.
Yeah. But Harley Race eventually
we'll get to one of the other original ones later in this. So.
Oh, well, yeah. Harley Race eventually gets thrown into the ring by the Guardian Angel and gets Vader slammed right down on top of him. Oh, man. Vader randomly rips his mask off after this, by the way. Did you notice that?
I did, him.
Yeah. But Angel body slams him.
Like, is he going to give it to Muhammad Ali?
Yeah, like the hell? But the two beat the piss out of each other during this match. If Austin, here's where I said, if Austin got disqualified for doing a back body drop over the top rope, why wasn't the Guardian Angel disqualified for clotheslining Vader over the top rope?
Why would he be?
He's throwing a man over the top rope. They're not consistent with this rule. I don't think they ever were. So, either way, the Angel hits a sidewalk slam, but Harley Race distracts him. Angel suplexes Race over the top, and as soon as he hits the mat, Vader splashes Angel, gets the pinfall win. Uncle Dave said, the Angel character is so obnoxious that he can't get over as a babyface. Same match they've had on TV a whole bunch of times, but he gave it 2 3/4 stars. I gave it 2.5 stars for average. What say you?
First of all, I'm pretty sure this was the WCW rules and the NWA one. That's why they got disqualified for going over the top. Anyways, that's all I can think of.
Yeah, there's no NWA, WCW with this one. They're all the same.
I said typical big man match, but it wasn't that bad. Dragged a bit, but I did give it 2 stars because it was kind of entertaining.
Yeah.
I did say the next time we see the Guardian Angel on pay-per-view, he would be heel as Big Bubba Rogers. Quite a change. So. Yeah,
they go through all of these gimmick changes, and then finally they say, you know what, we're just going to give you what you originally were back in WCW the first time. You are now Big Bubba Rogers. Cool.
Hell yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then he does that for a while, and then he ends up joining the Dungeon of Doom, which, that gets him over.
I sense sarcasm there again.
And then he joined the NWO. So,
and then he's not allowed to be in it.
Yeah. Well, don't you remember that epic match, Greg, where he feuded? I can't even remember who. Oh, it was John Tenta, where they feuded over cutting hair, and he got his epic beard cut, even though it really wasn't very long at all.
One thing I still laugh about, it's like, well, I shouldn't laugh, but like, would he have that Confederate flag tattoo, or would he have covered it up by now if he was still alive today?
I don't know. It depends on if it's still on the Georgia flag, I think. I don't know. But we got Eugene Okerlund on the stage. He's pimping the WCW hotline yet again. And he brings out, I'm not a boxing guy, so I don't know him, but apparently he's a boxing legend from the Detroit area. Tommy the Man Hearns.
He's a little bit of a legend.
Well, I don't know anything about him. Help me out. I mean, I assume you know something about him because of the way you just said that.
Well, he's a huge name in boxing. I guess not enough to casuals.
No, I mean, like I said, never heard of him, so I don't know. Bro, never heard of him, nobody cares, bro.
Nobody cares about boxing, bro.
It's fixed. Anyway. He brings out Tommy the Hitman Hearns.
Did someone say that? Did Meltzer say that?
No. But I said, my good lord, this man can't freaking talk worth a lick, and he's extremely robotic. Mean Gene has to drag him through this particular interview, this pathetic interview. Literally, Mean Gene would ask him a question, and then he'd basically say exactly what Mean Gene said. Well, they've got to be thinking about such and such tonight. You know what, Mean Gene? That has to be on their mind. They have to be thinking about that. Okay, anything else to add? He's clearly there just collecting a payday because he's a local celebrity. Well, I mean, not just a local celebrity.
I felt like he couldn't read the teleprompter or something.
Yeah, I'm like, did you guys not have cue cards for him? Because you really should have had cue cards for him. At least, for somebody who I assume he didn't have to give a lot of interviews and promos and stuff on the fly for boxing. So, have something with him. I'm like, did his promoter do all of his talking for him when he was a boxer?
No, he definitely did himself, but I just think when you're out of your element.
Yeah, there is something to be said for that. Yeah, I assume he's not a huge fan of the WCW product. Right?
I've seen him on Monday Night Raw quite a few times, so I know he's a wrestling.
Yeah, it's just like, this was painful to
watch. Well, they were in the Joe. It's a huge boxing arena, so, Ali's there.
Yeah, I'll get to Ali in a bit as well, but anyway. We had a replay of Dusty Rhodes asking the Nasty Boys to join him in War Games. And then after the match, Colonel Robert Parker's men beat the Nasty Boys up in the locker room. Unfortunately, we get to see Brian Knobbs shirtless. That was,
by the way, did you...
still haunting my nightmares.
Trying to get off that. Did you... I feel like Ming was, legitimately beating the holy piss out of him, man. He just looked terrible.
I think the Nasty Boys were one of them where it's like, hit me as hard as you can and I'll hit you back.
I don't think he was getting up to hit anyone back.
Yeah. I don't know. You ever see that episode and has become a gif of Homer Simpson where he's mowing the lawn. He's got a sign that says "Jiggling for Justice."
Yep.
That looked like Brian Knobbs here.
I don't know what to do with that.
The Nasty Boys retaliated on TV by jumping Terry Funk and Bunkhouse Buck. Colonel Parker holds Meng back from the fight. So here we get Terry Funk and Bunkhouse Buck with Colonel Robert Parker in their corner. They're taking on the Nasty Boys. 7 minutes 56 seconds. Mother of God. The Nasty Boys come out with a jack-o'-lantern and masks of Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah. That sounds very fitting to them.
Yeah. Well, it is that. I don't know about you. I cracked up when Bobby Heenan did his Beavis and Butthead impression.
Yep.
That was awesome. And he said, because it took him a while to figure out what those masks were. I got it right away, but they were like, I think that's Beavis and Butthead. And then, Bobby Heenan was like, well, to me, these guys are both Butthead and Butthead.
Wow.
Oh, man. At one point in the match, Sags basically teabags Terry Funk, and then he picks him up and does the pit stop on him. Funk backs up, looks at them both, and shouts, "You son of a bee!" I'm like, wrestling legend, former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, the great Terry Funk, just was teabagged and thrown into a man's armpit.
That's not the worst thing he's ever done. Probably not even the worst smell he had that day.
Good Lord. Terry Funk takes a steel chair and starts repeatedly beating it against his own face. I don't know if he's trying sense of smell at this point. In the end, behind the referee's back, Funk tries holding Knobbs' arms back. Knobbs moves, and Meng accidentally punches Funk, knocking him out. Sags picks him up and pile drives Funk on top of the pumpkin for the win. Uncle Dave said that this was a nothing match. Understatement of the year, I'd say. Both he and I gave it 1 star, and I'm being generous. What say you?
All right. Well, okay. My first thing I said, the names on the match marquee should tell you all you need to know. Then you see the Nasty Boys enter with a jack-o'-lantern and Beavis and Butthead masks. Need I say more? I said sloppy brawl, almost laughable at times, and I did laugh throughout that match.
Yeah.
Said a pile driver on a pumpkin. Good grief. 1 star.
Oh my gosh.
My fact for this match, seriously, in bold letters, the Nasty Boys suck.
Oh my God.
Then I said, so I'll throw a real one in there. So this is Funk's last WCW run since till 2000. But what a way to go out, huh?
How dare you disparage the good goddamn name of the Nasty Boys? I can't even get that out. Full disclosure,
even though it's like brittle in sarcasm, I still want to slap you for that.
I just made a horrible lapse in judgment, by the way, because as you were giving your review, I decided to take a couple mouthfuls of coffee and I almost spit them out. Wow. So that was my bad. Yeah. So oops. This was horrible. And this feud would continue on in Bunkhouse Buck and Rob Parker and the Stud Stable and all that crap. Isn't that what he called it, the Stud Stable?
I think so.
Yeah. That continued on for a while after this, but Terry Funk would be replaced. Thank God, get his ass out of there. Not saying that, like, against Terry Funk. I'm saying it for Terry Funk's own good. Get him the hell out of there. Wasn't he replaced by Dick Slater?
Yeah. That's perfect. That fits.
Dick Slater. Yeah.
Real name, folks.
Yeah. Quit embarrassing Terry Funk. Get him the hell out of there. It's pretty sad when you say he upgraded by going to ECW.
Oh, man.
Who got the better end of the deal? Dick Slater going to team up with Bunkhouse Buck and WCW, or Terry Funk going to ECW to be their top guy? I would say Funk got the better end of that bargain, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I had to write this down. I'm sure you caught this. Bobby Heenan says that if the show stopped right now without the Hogan Flair match, this would still be the greatest pay-per-view he's ever seen. WTF.
Yeah.
No.
How much money is he getting? That check must have been huge, man, to say that.
Yeah. How many zeros were on the end of that check?
Right.
Like, cell phones weren't a thing back then, or smartphones, whatever, so he couldn't check his bank app. So I assume earlier in the day, he made a quick call to his bank. He's like, hey, did that check clear? Okay, good. The greatest pay-per-view I've ever seen. Either that, or, the way he was, like, tripping over his words, and he was, he was kind of hoarse with the neck surgery. I assume he was on some kind of pain meds at the time, for the surgery. I'm just gonna excuse this he took way too many pills. Yeah, and right. This was the medication talking. Cause, no. Just no. Hey, with that match we just saw.
Dude, he's literally paid to be funny, so there you go.
Yeah, that's our excuse. Mean Gene Okerlund is in the ring now with Bill Shaw, Eric Bischoff, and Muhammad Ali. I said, and I don't know if you're gonna agree with me here, I'm not being insulting with my saying this, I'm just stating what I've observed with my eyes.
But you're about to be insulting. Got it.
Well, okay. No. I said it's kind of sad, to me at least, to see Muhammad Ali at this point, because he's barely moving other than his trembling hands, and he looks like he's half awake. Like he's just not fully there. And he's wearing Coke bottle frame glasses because his eyes are just so bad at this point. Shaw presents a check to Muhammad Ali for the, I guess it was the Muhammad Ali Futures Foundation. There was a foundation for kids, or underprivileged kids. And then, Eric Bischoff presents him with a commemorative plaque. Ali just is expressionless. And like I said, it looked like he was barely conscious for this. I don't know. I know why they did it. I'm not saying it was a bad call to have him there, but it just, I don't know. It was a little sad for me seeing him, knowing, what he was,
Yeah, no, I feel you.
So, and that's not me insulting him. It was me.
It sucks to know that's bad. That's probably the best he would be, actually, too, because I think it only got worse after that.
Yeah. And Collision in Korea was the next year, and I want to say that's when, I think, Ali went with them to North Korea, I want to say. Because Eric Bischoff was talking about that, and he said, Ali was on something, like some major show before that, and he asked Eric Bischoff, he said, did you watch it? And he said, yeah, I watched it. And he's like, be honest with me, did I embarrass myself? Because he was so bad off at that point. And Eric said it almost made him cry. And he was like, no, Muhammad. He was like, you're great. You're the greatest of all time. You didn't embarrass yourself. And so, it's sad when you hear that, Ali clearly knew how bad off he was.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at @mainevent_marks and Facebook at facebook.com/maineventmarkspod.
Now, back to our program.
Getting to something a little more cheery here, I guess, is the main event of the night.
Man, God, you are liberal with that.
It's Hulk Hogan. He is the WCW World Heavyweight Champion. I'll get to the mouthful that is the stipulation here in a minute. But it's Hulk Hogan with Jimmy Hart and Brother Brutai, the big brother, who's not there throughout the whole match, by the way. He came to the ring with him, and then I don't know where he went. But he's taking on the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, with Sensuous Sherry in his corner. It is a steel cage WCW World Heavyweight Title retirement match with special guest referee Mr. T.
Good Lord, you said a mouthful.
I told you. Where's my oxygen? Man. This match went for 19 minutes, 25 seconds. Mr. T panders right away and made me hate him instantly because he comes out wearing a Detroit Red Wings windbreaker and a Detroit Tigers hat. So I think he did what's the opposite of endearing yourself to both you and I with that crap?
Especially the Red Wings stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, you're a Californian.
Completely alienated me, is what he said.
Yeah. The Tigers thing is what it made me. I mean, I don't hate the Red Wings. I don't like them, but I don't hate them. It was the Detroit Tigers thing that I was like, F you. For those that don't know, I'm an Indians fan, and Greg is an A's fan, so, I mean, you can tell by Greg's multiple social media handles that he's a huge A's fan, but.
Still in mourning right now, by the way, so just take it easy on me.
Oh, do you guys lose? I haven't paid attention. Oh, you guys lose? I don't care.
Sick.
No, I don't know. My Indians were out forever ago, so I don't care. But either way.
That's fair.
Is Mr. T from Michigan?
I don't know. I forgot to look. I meant to do that, actually.
And no, by the way, he's from Chicago.
Oh, wait. I feel like I knew that.
So, shouldn't he be wearing,
I'm pretty sure Blackhawks fans aren't gonna like him wearing that. Yeah, they're pretty radical fans.
Yeah, he needs to be wearing a Blackhawks windbreaker and a White Sox cap, or at least a Cubs cap. Either way, I'm going to hate him. But, still, this just, talk about pandering, man. But the crowd absolutely blows their crap for Hulk Hogan, even though the Dirt Sheet guys are insisting that crowds everywhere are turning on Hogan at this point. They insist. Well,
there was a couple of Hogan sucks chants I did catch.
Oh,
right
yeah.
before Mr. T came out. They were pretty audible.
I'm not denying that there were a few haters out there, but I mean, listen to that freaking ovation. Like, it's not even like the Roman Reigns thing where it's like you can hear audible boos over the cheers, and it's at least 50-50. But this, no. It was plain as day. It was tons of cheers. But regardless, getting off that. I don't know if you felt the same way, but when the cage lowered, it looked like the most crackerjack ghetto-rigged cage of all time.
Yep. It looked like it was going to fall apart while it was coming down.
Yeah. Klondike Bill had his work cut out for him. I'll just say that. Do you get the Klondike Bill reference?
No.
He made all, like, the cages and everything for WCW, all their equipment. And he's become legend because of Tony Schiavone's podcast. Apparently he was a huge weirdo pervert, and Tony Schiavone loved to hang out with him.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't need to know that, but okay.
Well, there's some stories. But anyway, Mr. T ends up distracting Hogan multiple times, trying to stop him from using cheap tactics on Flair, leading you to believe that he's on Flair's side. But, by the way, was it just me, or was Mr. T wearing women's yoga pants?
I didn't catch that. But he was wearing that red jacket that kind of was like throwback to Johnny Lawrence in the Cobra Kai.
Yeah. Flair keeps trying to escape, even though he can't win that way. This isn't the WWF. This is a real cage match the way it's meant to be. You can't win by escaping. Sorry, I had to get my dig in at JR, Remember when JR went on that rant on AEW?
Yes.
Mr. T gets between Flair and Hogan at one point, and Hogan levels Mr. T by accident. Flair then stomps on Mr. T to keep him down. Sherry then tries to climb the cage, and Jimmy Hart goes to pull her down, but ends up pulling her skirt off, which was... I don't know if she ever did this in the WWF or anything, but this was actually a reused spot from the WWF lent her and the Macho Man to Memphis one time, and they had a cage match. They did this exact same spot, but with Jerry Lawler. So I was like, so that's just her go-to spot in a cage. She's like, hey, I'm going to go climb the cage. Pants me.
Right. Pants me? She's wearing a dress.
Dress me. I don't know. Undress me. Whatever. But she levels Jimmy Hart, tries to climb again, but then Sting stops her. The Masked Man then comes and takes out Sting with a lead pipe. The biggest effing black lead pipe I've ever seen in my life, by the way. So, because at first I thought it was a baton, and then they're like, oh, it's a lead pipe. And I'm like, oh, is it? Okay. Sherry dives off the cage onto Hulk Hogan, which I thought was kind of cool. And then the Masked Man helps them beat up Hogan before Sherry handcuffs Mr. T to the ring ropes. The Masked Man leaves, and Hogan eventually does his Superman routine, making his comeback and taking out both Sherry and Flair. He does his big boot to Sherry, then Flair, drops a leg on Flair, and wins the match. I said this was beyond nuts and hella overbooked, but it was a retirement match, so whatever. Uncle Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Haha. But Uncle Dave gave this 4 1/4 stars.
Good
grief. I gave it 3.5 because I thought it was a very entertaining match for as overbooked as it was. By your reactions early on, I'm going to safely assume you gave it a much lower score. What say you?
I gave it 2. I was leaning towards 3, but still, I was like, I can't give 3 stars to a match I laugh at a lot. Sorry. I mean, exception being like a Road Dogg hardcore match.
Yeah. I don't know. I did laugh at this, and I thought it was extremely overbooked. But at the same time, I don't know. I thought it was entertaining. I enjoyed it. So I don't know how that. I realized it was Ric Flair and Dave just like open mouth insert. He with Ric Flair, and he has to pump him up every chance he gets. But like, god dang, 4 stars.
I mean, some of my notes for this was it was very dramatic, and I really felt like careers were on the line. So I'll give them that.
Yeah.
Like, they really pushed that. Like, I never didn't think about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was, and then Bobby Heenan's crying and everything afterwards. But the post-match here is the big thing. Muhammad Ali and Nick Bockwinkel present the big.
Hold on, sorry. Before you go on, I gotta point out, I noticed a lot of the crowd saw Hogan win and then left. And it's kind of funny. I just gotta point that out because of what we're coming up on. I was like, everybody just took off. Did you catch that?
No, I did not.
If you go back and watch it, you can see them all leaving after Hogan made the pin.
Wow.
And I laugh at that now because, like I said, we're about to get to, so go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, did your fact of the match spoil the post-match stuff, or did you want me to get the...
No, it just is funny. I didn't think about this, but Hogan and Flair would have a career on the line cage match again at Uncensored 2000.
Wow.
I think the stipulation there was only Flair's was on the line.
Wow. All right.
So yeah, it would happen again. So there you go.
What was with Flair?
Original?
Yeah. What was with literally every big match Ric Flair was in for like years and years and years was if Flair loses, he retires.
Yeah, I don't know. I never got it either.
I think that was the stipulation of his match against Vader. It was the stipulation of this. He did it again multiple times WCW, as you talked about. He did it in the WWF. I think he did it in TNA. My gosh. It was just a thing with him. Career must be on the line, or it doesn't matter.
Flair must retire, like Hogan must pose.
Wow. Yeah, it sure seems that way. But anyway, post-match shenanigans here. Muhammad Ali and Nick Bockwinkel present the big gold belt to Hulk Hogan as he celebrates and poses. The Masked Man.
Because
Hogan must pose, pal. But the Masked Man then sneaks in behind Hogan with his lead pipe, but Hogan turns around and stops him. He punches him and punches the Masked Man and takes the mask off to reveal that it's Brother Brutai. Hogan looks shocked and hurt as Brutai begs for forgiveness. Kevin Sullivan and John Tenta then rush the ring and get in there and beat Hogan down.
Real quick, hold on. First of all, I remember being like really pissed when it was Brother Brutai. Like I was a kid, I was like throwing a fit. Did you notice, by the way, that they kept saying over and over and over that he just butchered a friendship, and that would be his name going forward, the Butcher? Did you catch that?
I caught. Well, I
said it like 12 times. I'm like, good Lord, they just really want you to know this is his name going forward.
Yeah, well, this was. Yeah, I have some notes similar to that. Well, like I said, John Tenta comes down still in his earthquake attire. By the way,
okay. I got to stop you there too. Did you notice that they kept saying, "Do you feel that?" The arena shaking. It feels like an avalanche. This is his debut. This is his debut. How the hell do they know what his name is already?
Yeah, Shivani keeps saying, the building is beginning to rumble. It's like an avalanche in here. Why is that your go-to? Like, nobody would naturally say, oh, it's rumbling. It must be an avalanche. There are no mountains nearby. Why would it be an avalanche? Wouldn't it be an earthquake?
You know the famous Detroit mountains, man? They rival the Himalayas.
Well, Tenta hits the earthquake splash on Hogan before Sting rushes in and takes out everyone, making them look like wimps, and then chasing them off. Schiavone keeps jackhammering in the words butcher and avalanche into his commentary about these men over and over and over.
Yeah.
So, and to your point, he said, I didn't catch the thing about he butchered a friendship, but I caught he kept just throwing it in there. What a butcher! He was like a butcher out there. I'm like, what? Like, that's not even a clever turn of phrase. And then he was like, my God, it was like an avalanche. It's an avalanche in here. That doesn't make sense. Again, it's not even look, there's something, I don't know, have you ever seen something on YouTube called Honest Trailers, where they basically mock movies?
Yeah.
Do like a funny trailer? Okay, I used to be obsessed with watching these things. I thought they were hilarious. And there's one they did for 50 Shades of Grey, and they obviously mocked it mercilessly. And they played a clip from the movie where the guy says, the main character says, this is 50 Shades of effed up. And the guy, the epic voice guy is like, what? That's not even a popular phrase. How does that fit anywhere? You're just jackhammering it in there because of the name of the movie.
Yeah.
Like yep. Just like right here.
Why are you questioning it?
This was so corny and cheesy. And for the last time of the night, I said, LOL WCW.
Yeah. Did you realize, by the way, that this was the official formation of the Dungeon of Doom?
Oh, is this official?
Well, yeah, look who's out there. I mean, this is sort of the hottest angle in WCW history.
Yeah. And I can excuse John Tenta is like, okay, maybe he didn't have another attire to wear, so he just wore his earthquake gear, because he's literally wearing his natural disasters attire here.
The only thing different is it doesn't say earthquake on it. I think he's wearing a plain singlet and the tights.
Yeah.
The trunks.
Yeah, because it's still got the logo on the front, like the seismograph or whatever it's called. So it's the same color scheme, everything. But he would not wear that attire anymore after this. And then he would only be the Avalanche for like 2 months, I think. Because I think
if that,
yeah, because they were still calling him the Avalanche at Starrcade, and I think he had to change. I can't remember if he had to change it after that or not, but I know he would be the Shark after that. Because what's better than Avalanche? A shark.
Oh my God!
I know they were trying to avoid any similarities at all. For God's sake, the Shark. All right, let's go into the final ratings here and just get this.
By the way, if
crap
he's going to be the Avalanche, shouldn't he have worn like a Yeti suit or something?
What? Oh,
an actual
okay.
Yeti, not a mummy.
Yeah, I get it. All right, well,
could have been that monster from Hoth in Empire Strikes Back.
God,
I should be writing this stuff.
The Wampa.
Yeah, the Wampa.
And they should have just called him that. My God, it's the Wampa.
Good Lord.
That'd have been great. Better than the Shark. And I'm sticking to that, by the way.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at @mainevent_marks and Facebook at facebook.com/maineventmarkspod.
Now, back to our program.
Final ratings of the night. Uncle Dave gave this show a thumbs up on Sunday night when it was over, but then he changed his mind with thumbs down a few days later because it was sold as something extraordinary, and he said it ended up actually being just ordinary. Okay, so
change your opinion after having watched it.
Yeah, so you're meaning to tell me... It's not like
he had an opinion first, went into watching, oh no. He watched it live.
Yeah, so you're meaning to tell me he watched it, he had a reaction to it, and then he sat and he overthought it, and he changed his opinion. Cool.
I'm shocked.
All right. I know. I don't know. I mean, I've heard of people doing that with movies, and I guess it's a valid argument. You know, everybody's different, but I don't know. Either way, IMDb gave this 5.9 out of 10. CageMatch.net gave it a 4.9 out of 10. I gave it a 6.5 out of 10, so basically a D. What say you?
I gave it a D+.
Yeah, so around 6.5, 7, somewhere in there, somewhere in that range.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just... I mean, don't get me... Look, we did an audible to 94. We didn't say it was, like, amazing. We never once said that, so don't hold us to that. But it was better than 93, I think. At least, even if it was bad, there was more to talk about, and it wasn't boring.
Yeah, this was far better, actually. As weird as that sounds.
It is what it is, people. But, that wraps it up. That is our last Halloween Havoc show for the month. We are now moving on. We got 2 more shows. One of them is a bonus for this month. Our bonus show coming up this Friday is TNA. Okay, let me rephrase that. I hope to have it up by this Friday. Is TNA Bound for Glory 2010. All right. And as far as the actual show for next Wednesday, it will be WWE Raw from 10/28/2002. So that is the show that is main evented by Triple H and Kane in a casket match. Good stuff. 2002, I think, is a very underrated year in wrestling history, right?
It is. That's when they did the whole brand split. They started it.
Yeah.
NWO came back. And
yeah, that was all great. Shawn Michaels made his official return to the ring.
Elimination Chamber debuted.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a lot of good stuff. Obviously,
the birth of Brock Lesnar. Wow, that was a good year.
Yeah. It was great. So there was a lot of good stuff around this time. Wasn't The Rock still around doing his heel gimmick at this point?
No, that was 2003.
Okay. So it was shortly before The Rock came back with his Hollywood Rock gimmick and completely shaved his head. So, but that is coming up on October 28th. I guess since we're so close, we might want to tease this at the end of the show. Just letting you know, next Monday there will be something else because Friday's our bonus show. Hopefully. Next Wednesday is the actual podcast. But this coming Monday, you're going to see something else in your feed from us. It's going to be another show. We are starting our own Figure Wrestling Federation. It is called the Main Event Figure Federation, MEFF. Greg is running one show. I'm running another show. My show is called Jacked, and it's spelled with 2 Ks because I am using my Jacked figures. The stipulations are we have to own them, and I can only use Jack's figures, and Greg can only use Mattel figures. We are having our official draft. We've already recorded it. It's in the can, and it's coming up this Monday. This coming Monday on your feed. It will be on this feed. And then the next Monday, November 2nd, will be our first official shows. If nobody has heard, what do they call it? The Figure Wrestling Federation?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what the Major Wrestling Figures podcast does. If nobody's heard that, yeah, they inspired us. We're doing our own take on it, doing it a little differently. Obviously, we're inspired by them, but we were trying to stay somewhat original with it and do our own ideas. We're booking the shows. We're going to give you the rundowns. We're going to do, music and sound effects and stuff with it. Try to spice it up as much as possible. And, we'll bring that to you on a weekly basis. And then we'll have one pay-per-view a month. So you're going to start seeing not only this Wednesday podcast and your monthly bonus show on a Friday, but every Monday we got a new episode of the Main Event Figure Federation. Greg is running Overdrive on Monday nights. I'm running Jacked. And in this fictional world, we're going head-to-head, doing a ratings battle. And then our pay-per-views will go head-to-head on one Sunday a month. So I know you're hyped about it. I'm hyped about it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, I'm going to stay hyped, too.
Stay hyped. Yeah. I don't get hyped. I stay hyped. I can't believe we made a Mojo Rawley reference on the show, but there it is.
I can't believe you own a figure of him.
Hey, I maintain I got him in a bargain bin for $5.
Don't care.
So,
doesn't matter.
If I see a figure I don't have in a bargain bin, I'll most likely buy it. So I'm not going to pass that up. Either way, so that is coming up. The big exciting things podcast is growing. The brand, the Main Event brand is growing. Follow Greg on Instagram. It's at Main Event Collector. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Main Event _Marks. And on Facebook, facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod. All that and much more is coming, and we will keep you abreast of everything going on. Thank you for joining me today, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
And we will see you all next week and this Friday for TNA Bound for Glory 2010.